We are continuing our countdown to the opening ceremony, sharing the special Michigan ties to the games in Tokyo.
Tonight, Jack Doles takes a look at the culture in Japan and how you can see something similar here in West Michigan.
Yeah, I love the games, but one of the great perks of covering an Olympics is experiencing the culture of a country. Japan's is so rich, and their gardens are a big part of that culture. Well, we happen to have a world-class Japanese garden right here in our own backyard. When you walk into a Japanese garden, you're surrounded by beauty. But there's more to the experience than meets the eye.
Kind of to enter a space and leave a lot of what you brought into that space behind and kind of redefine what you're going through that day, that week, that month, that year.
An oasis tranquility is what Hoichi Kruitsu has created at the Richard and Helen DeVos Japanese Garden.
It's a place to really slow down and kind of get a different point of view.
He used traditional Japanese garden features, rock, water, flowers, and trees, with the goal of designing an inner space for inspiration and healing.
You know, in this garden, it's a huge sensory experience. So it's a lot of interacting with nature, whether you're, walking by a waterfall and really hearing a lot of that noise, or you hear the birds chirping, or, you see a fish jump out in the water, or you're, kind of brushing against some leaves that are growing into the path, or walking along a really winding path and kind of being intentional about where you're stepping and where that's leading you.
The structures you see, the bridges, gazebo, the tea house, were all designed and built in Japan by traditional wood craftsmen, coppersmiths, and stucco craftsmen. The features were taken apart, shipped to Meijer Gardens, and rebuilt there.
Some days it's, you walk in and there's just a delicate sunrise or a really light rain, and that's when it feels like, okay, this isn't a bad place to be every day. A pretty easy lifestyle, but, it ebbs and flows.
Chief horticulturist Ethan Cody and his staff do an extraordinary amount of pruning to keep the garden from overgrowing. The look changes from season to season. Cherry blossoms in the spring, lush green in the summer, white with snow and ice in the winter.
Whether it's in the summer or early spring and you see the, popping open of new flowers, or a big blue heron flying over, and or it's the winter and the pond is completely frozen over and you see fresh deer tracks walking across the ice, and it's all pretty surreal. But it's definitely moments, quiet moments like those that really puts it into perspective.
As seen through the eyes of photographer Ron Swanson there are only 10 or 15 gardens of this size in the United States. This one is amazing. It just puts you in a great frame of mind. We won't be able to visit Japanese gardens or any other tourist sites for at least 14 days because we'll be in the Olympic bubble. We will be able to cover the events and go to the venues. We can't go to the restaurants or palaces or temples until we've been in the country for 2 weeks, and hopefully after seeing that story before this, we'll be able to do so. We've also going to have to be tested twice for COVID in the 96 hours before we fly to Tokyo, and once we land, I get the feeling I'll need the serenity of one of those gardens once that quarantine ends.
You absolutely will.
So beautiful in those gardens.
Yeah, it really just puts you at peace.
As you mentioned, any season,
Yes, right.
gorgeous.
Beautiful. Thanks, Jack.